Welcome to this explainer from the Foundry by Forge College. Today, we're diving into the final audit report findings and litigations. Now, if you remember our last lesson on simulated attack validation and reproduction, you've generated a massive amount of raw material. Right now, it probably looks like a bomb went off in a garage full of test logs, annotated spreadsheets, and proof of concept scripts. It's a mess, right? Well, today, we're going to take all those scattered parts and assemble them into a masterwork of engineering, the final audit report. This is where all your hard work actually translates into a defendable, actionable deliverable.
Here is our roadmap for today. First, the master blueprint. Second, structuring your evidence. Third, proving your findings. Fourth, rating severity and impact. Fifth, the final inspection. And finally, next steps and conclusion.
Okay, let's jump right into part one, the master blueprint. Listen, a completely messy desk is an auditor's absolute worst enemy. To fix this, you need a canonical folder hierarchy. Think of it like a perfectly organized toolbox. You've got your main report directory, your individual findings, your appendices for raw logs, and right there in the middle, you have repro. That's where your reproduction scripts live. By establishing this exact blueprint, every single artifact becomes perfectly discoverable. They're uniquely referenced via relative paths, which means nobody should ever have to guess where a file is hiding. Because let me tell you, without this blueprint, you're inevitably going to face a panicked, probably highly caffeinated downstream engineering team shouting, "You told me it's broken, but you didn't tell me how to fix it." Handing them a giant pile of complicated math and broken code without a map, that helps literally no one. Your job isn't just finding bugs, it's communicating them clearly. Moving right along to section 2, structuring your evidence. Inside each of your markdown files, every single finding must strictly adhere to these standard headings: summary, impact, reproduction steps, evidence, severity and confidence, and mitigation recommendations. Seriously, you really do not want to improvise here. Using these standard headings maintains a highly defendable, professional structure that developers can parse instantly. It's all about predictability. You've got to transform your isolated, messy, ad hoc notes into highly actionable findings. See, an ad hoc finding is vague, it's unlinked, and it's basically useless to a developer who's trying to patch a multi-million-dollar smart contract under a tight deadline. But an actionable finding, that is the absolute gold standard. It's cleanly linked to the repository via relative paths, it features a crystal-clear severity rating, and crucially, it includes runnable scripts. Which brings us to section 3, proving your findings. Let's just define our gold standard right now, reproducibility. This simply means each finding has an attached, runnable artifact. Whether that's a test case, a proof of concept script, or a failing transaction trace, a reviewer has got to be able to execute it. Your downstream engineers must be able to run your code, watch the contract break in the exact way you promised it would, and then verify that their patch actually fixes the problem. In practice, this is a super simple 3-step workflow. Step 1, boot an isolated local chain so you aren't accidentally blowing up production. Step 2, run your minimal testing harness. And step 3, safely spit out undeniable proof. We're talking a transaction hash and a call trace straight into your appendices. It's clean, it's elegant, and it leaves absolutely zero room for argument. All right, section 4, rating, severity, and impact. Think of this rubric as your grading scale. If you're going to label a vulnerability as critical, well, the demands are high. You need a full proof of concept script, a failing test case, and an immediate patch suggestion. Now, compare that to a low finding. That might just be an informational code smell that only requires a minor improvement suggestion. The key takeaway here? You must justify every single rating using this exact matrix. But look, you can't just tell a team the house is on fire and calmly walk away, right? You have to draft a prioritized mitigation roadmap. We bucket these fixes into distinct timeframes: immediate blockers, near-term fixes for the next sprint, and long-term post-release updates. And crucially, you also need to estimate the effort in hours and assign a responsible role. This is exactly what takes your report from just a dry technical document to a fully operational roadmap for project managers. Now for section 5, the final inspection. This rigorous 4-step validation sequence is basically your safety net. Step 1 is the file sanity check, which means ensuring all those relative file paths actually work. Step 2, the repro run. You literally execute your test harnesses on a clean clone to make sure they still fail exactly as expected. Step 3 is the severity audit, where you read through your own justifications to ensure they really hold up to scrutiny. And finally, step 4, generating the final PDF and smoke checking the links. So how do we actually generate that final PDF? With a simple automated build script. We use a tool called Pandoc to synthesize all your Markdown files, findings, and logs into one highly polished, unified deliverable. Here's the beauty of it. If this script fails, it means you have a broken link or a missing file, catching the error before the client ever even sees it. And finally, Section 6, Next Steps and Conclusion. As you wrap up your work, I want you to basically burn these 3 guiding principles into your mind. Number 1, evidence-first documentation. Never ever rely on just a verbal description. Always have a runnable artifact. Number 2, explicit severity justification. Use the rubric to explain exactly why a bug is critical. And number 3, actionable remediation mapping. Always provide a clear, prioritized path for the developers to actually fix the code. I'll leave you with this somewhat provocative thought. How will your prioritized remediation roadmap hold up when developers actually begin the difficult work of code hardening? Remember, an audit is only as good as the fixes it inspires, so think about how you can write better, clearer reports to make their jobs a little easier. To explore how we tackle those next steps of securing Web3 infrastructure and to dive deeper into our comprehensive smart contract security audit modules, be sure to visit forge.college. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and happy auditing.